Hello everyone, welcome back to the fourth episode of this React development series. In the last video, we converted a simple HTML template to a React project. Now, in this video, we'll be converting this React project into a component structure. So, what do I mean by a component structure? A component structure means dividing the page into smaller pieces of code. For example, we can convert this header into one component, this card into another, these two small cards into other component, this sidebar into another component, and the footer into another component. So why do we have to convert this to component? The first reason is that we can reuse code if we create components. And the second point is that if we go back to our VS Code, we can see in a single file we have a lot of code. To be precise, we have 547 lines of code in one file. So it is really difficult to work on this. So we break this down into smaller parts. So how do we do that? So let's try to convert this header into a component. So how can we do that? Now if I go back to my VS Code, here we can see we have the header tag here and the menu items here. So this div contains everything that we need for the header. So what we'll do is we'll just go to the source folder and create another folder that is component. This is the industry standard to keep a component folder, and inside of which we'll make the smaller components. So I'll create another file that is header.js, similar to the app.js, and here what we'll do is we'll import React from React. And then what we'll do is create an arrow function, header equals to, and then return a simple div for now. So what we did here is that we imported React from React. We imported this React so that we can use this. We can return this HTML div tag from a function. Now if I just remove this, you can see the React import just fades out, and if I put it back, then it becomes brighter. So this div tags are coming from React. These tags in React are called JSX tags. These are not HTML tags. Each HTML tag that we know is rewritten in JavaScript to create this library called React. So this is a simple arrow function. I have used a const header equals to, then two parentheses to take parameters, and then an arrow, and then a curly brace to define a function. We could also have used a simple function that is function header and then parenthesis and then a curly brace, and then inside of that we return the div. We can also use this, but I like the arrow function, so I'll be using this one. Now the last thing that we'll have to do is export default header. Now what this line means is that we want to export this function by default if someone else references this file. Let me show you what it does. Now if I go to app.js and then I go to the top, just before I import the CSS, I'll import header from /, that means the current directory, then inside the components folder, and then header. Now here we can see we directly imported the header, which means that by default, this header function is returned to us when we import it here. Now we have to put our HTML code responsible for the header inside of this component. So I'll just see how long does this span, and then I'll select all this, and then I'll press Ctrl X to cut, and then go back to header.js, and then I'll just delete this div and just paste the JSX elements here. Now if I save and if I go to our page, we can see our header is missing. Also here we can see that there's a one header is defined but never used. That is because we imported the header but we didn't use it. So how can we use this? We can simply use it like a simple JSX tag. Now by JSX tag I mean that we can use this like a simple HTML tag, just like this. Now if I save and go back, we can see our header is back. Now what I want you to do is just pause this video and try to convert this card into a component. So just give it a try, and if you are not able to do it, we'll do that together. So I hope you were successful. Now let's do it together. I'll go back to my VS Code, and here we can see the code for the card is here, from here to here. So I'll just select this and I'll press Ctrl X to cut, and then inside of the component folder I'll just create another file called titlecard.js, and then I'll use a small hack, that is rafc, and hit enter to get this boilerplate code. Now if you want to have the similar functionality, what you can do is just go to the extensions of VS Code and then just type in React snippets, this one here, and just install it. Just install this and you'll also be able to do what I did by typing in rafc to just generate a boilerplate for React. Now here you can see I have a different syntax than my previous file. Here we had const header equals to arrow function, and then at the end we exported the header. But here we can see we have an export before the arrow function, that is export const title card. So what this does is actually it exports the title card as a function and not by default. We'll have to import this in a different way in the app.js. So I'll show you how to do that in a moment. For now, let's just paste in the code that we have cut. So I'll just paste in the header code. Now I'll save this and then go back to app.js, and then I'll go here and import title card from ./components/title card and hit save. So here you can see I have imported this inside of a curly brace. What this means is that from inside this file I want the variable title card to be imported to this file. But here in the first one we imported the default export of this file, that was the header. These are the two ways to import a component in React. One by export default, the header is the example of that, and the second one exporting the arrow function directly as a variable. The example for that is the title card. Now I'll just copy the title card, and inside the main tag with a class of container I'll just put the title card here as a HTML tag, and I'll save this. And if I go back, we can see we have the title card here. Now we'll convert these two cards as components, and also the sidebar as a component, and also the footer as the component. We'll leave the main content as it is. So let's do that. So here you can see the two cards span from here to here. So I'll just select all this and cut this and then create another component that is small cards. Now I'll just generate the boilerplate code and just paste it in here, and then just press Ctrl S to save. Then go back to my app.js and just type in here small cards. And then go to the top and just import small cards from component slash small cards and just save this. Next we'll leave these as it is and go to the sidebar. So this is the code for the sidebar. So how do I know that this is the code for the sidebar? Because here we can see an h4 tag with the child of about, which we can see here on the sidebar. So I'll just go back and see how long does this span. So it spans till here, so I'll select everything up to here, and then I'll cut this and create another component that is sidebar.js, and then I'll type in RAFC and press enter to generate the boilerplate, paste the HTML here and save, and go back to my app.js and here just type in sidebar. Here my code editor also gave me a hint that is sidebar. Now my code editor also added the import to the sidebar automatically. If I go to the top, here we can see the sidebar import has been added. But it's a good practice to keep the CSS import at the bottom of the imports. So I'll just move the sidebar up. Now if you are wondering how did I move the line up, you can just press Ctrl Shift and up or down arrow key to swap the line of the code, just like this. Now I'll just save this, and now we'll just convert the footer to a component. Here's the code for the footer. I'll just cut this and create another component that is footer.js, and then I'll type in RAFC to generate the boilerplate code and just paste it in here and save, and go back to the app.js, and inside of this last div I'll just type in footer. Sometimes the IDE doesn't recommend the import, so we'll have to do it this manually this time. So I'll go to the top and just import footer from component slash footer and just save. Now if we go back, we can see the page looks same as previous, but now it is in a component structure. So this was all for this video. In the last video, I requested you all to go to this website, that is getbootstrap.com, and try to implement any of these templates in React by your own. Now what you can try is converting the template that you have created into components. That will help you learn more about React. So in the next video, we'll be discussing about props and how can we use props to optimize our code. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also hit the bell icon. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.